Welcome back, everybody, to Boxing Bonanza. Today, we're just going to recap on last weekend's events. The huge fight, Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitry Bivol, light heavyweight. A fantastic fight, all in all. We're just going to give a recap on the fight, and then we're just going to give an explanation on how we believe Canelo could win the rematch, if he's going to win the rematch, excuses afterwards, and pretty much that's about it. Okay, so let's get on with the fight. All in all, the fight was a fan favorite, fantastic matchup. It went different to a lot of people's opinions. Myself, I predicted it perfectly, probably down to the exact T, to be honest. Which is kind of my role to do. I meant to be able to predict, not so much predict these fights, but I meant to know what's going on with these fighters, and I should know how each fighter gets on in a fight. So yeah, the actual fight, like I said, fan favorite. It was full of action. It was back and forth a lot of the time, but Bivol did win convincingly. I know afterwards, like what we said, we get onto the excuses. Canelo did think that he won the fight, whether he's just saying that because he finds it hard to admit it, or whether he does actually believe it. If he does believe it, then he needs to go back to the drawing board. He needs to have a talk with his team, and they need to be very honest with him on that he didn't win that fight, because otherwise, when he goes into the rematch, if he goes into the rematch, there isn't going to be any changes, and that will be absolutely drastic. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about the fight. From the start, it was clear that Canelo was a very strong man in for light heavyweight. He doesn't lack strength. He's pushing Bivol back a bit, getting Bivol onto the ropes. In my personal opinion, I believe this was a game plan from Dimitry Bivol to tire Canelo out, because later on in the rounds, when Canelo had him on the ropes, Bivol started firing back. But at the start, I believe he was trying to play possum a little bit. He was trying to bring Canelo in to throw these big shots. He was tucked up nice and comfortable. He wasn't getting caught with anything, but Canelo was losing a lot of energy by throwing them big shots, and also missing a lot of them shots too. If you boxed yourself, that missing shots when you load up is very, very tiring. And I believe that was part of the game plan for Dimitry Bivol's team. As you get to mid rounds, especially from the sixth round, this is where Bivol, starts to take lead. He was pushing Canelo back. Canelo showed signs of obvious fatigue, and most of all, he showed obvious signs of frustration, which is completely, Dimitry Bivol is that type of fighter. He's there. He seems like he's in range, but his footwork is so fantastic. He's in and out before you even blink of an eye. And I don't really mean Lomachenko style footwork in and out. It's literally just half a step in, half a step out. He's out of range and then in range within half a footstep. And that frustrated Canelo. Is one of the reasons why I believed Canelo would lose this fight, because he's always struggled with fighters with good footwork. Bivol's hand speed, it was nothing spectacular, which I also predicted. I did say that he would win the fight by the 1-2, the jab, the 1-2 jab, the 1-2 left hook, and they were the combinations that he was throwing. And Canelo at most points just didn't realize what was going on. He just didn't have a plan B to get around this type of fight. Pot shot in against someone like Dimitry Bivol is not going to work. I'm actually surprised, because the only way I thought that they were going to come into this fight is I thought they were going to go into the more old style Canelo, which we will go into a bit later on. But what else can we say about the fight, man? It was a fantastic fight. Sorry about my pink cup. Yeah, it was a fantastic fight. Canelo, like I said, showed obvious signs of frustration, you know, when he's picking Dimitry Bivol up, and also showed signs of fatigue. At one point, Bivol leaned on him, and he didn't lean on him very much, but Canelo went down to his knees, and you know, when the legs start going like that, it's a sign of fatigue. But what a fight! What a fight! We should be absolutely grateful that we was in a position to watch this sort of fight, because you know he's getting a lot of stick off some fighters, even you know, King Ryan and stuff. They're coming out of the woodwork, hitting on Twitter, you know, as fighters do. And these fighters, and I can't express this enough, these fighters will not fight the champions in their own division. Don't hate on a man who's going up to the heavier division to face the best of the best in that division. Don't hate on that man. This man is making boxing and exciting for us to watch. It's making the sport for fans. So I can't express that enough. So from there, like I said, Canelo believes that he won that fight. Nobody else believes he won that fight. So then we go on to the excuses. One of the excuses, I'm not sure if this has come from the Canelo camp, or it might just be one of the, you know, excuses from the extreme Canelo fans on social media. But it's the vegan diet. Now you know, we're going into the wilder kind of excuses. So it's the vegan diet. I'm just going to say there was absolutely nothing in that diet that slowed Canelo down. What slowed Canelo down is normally when he's going in, he's throwing these shots, he's putting fighters into panic mode. They're on the back foot. They don't want to engage. And Canelo is you know, cruising comfortably. But when you've got another man who's in there and he's not willing to be bullied, he's not willing to be pushed around the ring. You know, when he's on the ropes, he's making his way back to the center of the ring. He's using his footwork. He's using his hand speed. Canelo didn't fight any different to, I'd say, the last 6 fights. I have to double check that, but the Daniel Jacobs fight is the last time that he was his old self, so to speak. You know, with the movement and the combination throwing and stuff. So this fight was not really any different to the Caleb Plant fight, the Billy Joe Saunders fight, the Kovalev fight. The only difference is this man, Dimitry Bivol, was there for a fight and he was not willing to be bullied. And that eventually tired Canelo out. So I can honestly say that I really believe that it has nothing at all to do with a vegan diet. So what do we go on to next? That is the fight. How does Canelo win the rematch? So let's talk a little bit about Dimitry Bivol being an absolute savage and saying that he wants to come down now to super middleweight to fight Canelo. You know, that's a savage move, absolutely savage. I'm not sure if that's, you know, that could also be mind games with Canelo now thinking, you know, shit, this man really believes he's going to beat me again and come down to my weight to do it. I know Dimitry Bivol was calling for this fight at super middleweight before this fight even happened, and that might have been about 5-6 years ago, maybe. So now he come out and said, you know, if people believe it's anything to do with the weight, I'm going to come down to your division. I'm going to take those belts off you, motherfucker. That's a savage, you know, that's an absolutely savage. So how does Canelo win the rematch? This is a huge, huge ask, a massive, massive ask. But what I believe is the only way he's going to do it is you gotta go back to the drawing board. You got to go back to the Daniel Jacobs type fight. You got to bring Dimitry Bivol into you. Chasing him around the ring, trying to pot shot. His defense is too tight. His footwork is too good. His ring IQ is outstanding. When I talk about ring IQ, it's the sort of things like when he's on the ropes, he makes his way to the center of the ring. You know, he doesn't just sit on the ropes, you know, panicking a bit. If I move around here, am I going to get caught with a shot? You know, he's completely comfortable with his footwork, completely comfortable with his ring IQ. And it worked. They worked down to a T, absolutely fantastically. So Canelo, the weight, does the weight affect this fight going back down to super middleweight? If it did, I don't really believe it affected Canelo much going up to light heavyweight, and I don't believe it will affect the fight much going down to super middleweight for Dimitry Bivol. There's not a huge size difference between the two men. So I don't believe that Dimitry Bivol will drain himself to come to this weight, especially offering to come to super middleweight. The man knows he's going to make that comfortable, because he could just say, look, let's take a rematch light heavyweight. But he didn't. He hasn't as of yet. You know, he's come out and said this. We don't actually know. Like I said, it could be mind games. So if Canelo comes in looking like the defensive fighter again, you know, on the back foot, boxing comfortably, we know Canelo can switch up his game plan in a rematch from the Gennady Golovkin rematch. You know, he was the first person to really come in and put Golovkin on the back foot and bully Golovkin. I believe Canelo lost the second fight, the first fight, sorry, but I believe he won the rematch. So this could be a possibility for this fight, you know, if he can change his style enough. Because what he's doing at the moment, if he comes in and fights Dimitry Bivol in the same game plan, he's not winning that rematch. Right, so I'm blabbling on a bit. So I believe if Canelo comes in at super middleweight, let's just say super middleweight, he needs to, you know, go back to the head movement, and he needs to work on traps. He needs to bring Dimitry Bivol into him, because, Dimitry Bivol's a fantastic boxer. He does the credentials of boxing perfectly, which is what I predicted he would do. But Cohen, Canelo's combination punching is fantastic. His head movement is fantastic. There's not really any of that. If you follow my page and you go back a couple of videos, I put together a video of Canelo lacking head movement in the last few fights, whether that's been fighting people like Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, who are not known as big punchers. Maybe that is why he left himself some room to not be to have some room in the head movement, maybe. Or maybe it's the repetition in the gym on the pads, forgetting, you know, maybe he's getting a bit complacent. But anyway, so setting traps to bring Bivol into him. I believe his head movement is good enough. Bivol's hand speed, maybe not, I wouldn't say not quick enough, but let's just say Canelo's head movement will be able to avoid Dimitry Bivol's punches when he's on his A game. So you need to bring him into traps, set the traps up, not just look for the one punch, because it's not going to work. Combination punching, I believe, his fitness wise, I believe he was, that was the best Canelo we've seen last Saturday. I don't believe that he had any problems. I don't believe that he hadn't been training. I don't believe that he wasn't fit. He was just his opponent that made him look that way. So, you know, that's how I believe that he could possibly win the rematch. But being realistic, I don't think I predicted this fight perfect, so I'm a bit on the edge of I want another perfect prediction, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't believe Canelo Alvarez wins this rematch, whether it be at super middleweight or light heavy. And that's just, I think it's just one of those things. I think he's met his match, and if I was Canelo, I would go back down to super middle or middle, fight, take the Gennady Golovkin fight, stop Gennady Golovkin. I believe he will this time. Gennady Golovkin has shown that Father Time has caught up with him, and for some reason his body is weakened to the body shots, and we've seen that in the last few fights. You know, that's just one of my views. So I believe he could go down, take the Golovkin fight, bring his profile right back up, leave Bivol alone, and go on and fight, you know, the Charlos and who everybody has been calling for. So yeah, I that's all I have to say on this for this time. Thank you all for watching. If you like these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we hope to see you in the comment section to let us know what you think. Thank you, guys. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy our content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment on the videos you want to get involved in. Follow our social media here: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And once again, from Boxing Bonanza, thank you all for watching.